Hey everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, The Truth About Website Traffic, Why Most Small Businesses Focus on the Wrong Channels and What to Do Instead. My name is Riley McLaughlin, and I will be your webinar host for today. And I'm also joined by Ryan Cunningham, who will be presenting today's webinar. But before I pass it off to Ryan, I just want to run through some quick housekeeping. So this webinar is being recorded. So what's going to happen is tomorrow morning, you'll get an email with a link to the recording, a link to the slides, and then a link to another resource that Ryan has provided for today. And we will be taking questions. So if you have a question at any time during the presentation, you can ask those at the end, but also if you have it, just go ahead and put it in the chat. And I'll be monitoring the chat while Ryan's presenting, so I'll see your question come up, but no need to hold on to that. Just if you do have a question, just go ahead and put that in the chat. And with that, I'm going to pass it off to Ryan.
Hey, welcome to the webinar, everybody. So today we are going to dismantle the noise around digital marketing in 2026 to help you stop chasing trends and start capturing real demand. So the goal today is to help you choose the right traffic strategy based on your business model, your customer lifetime value, and realistic growth timeline. What this is not going to be, you're not going to find hacks, a one-size-fits-all channel recommendation, or trendy shortcuts here. We're focused on data-backed, sustainable architectures for growth. I'll introduce myself. My name's, again, Ryan Cunningham. I'm social media manager and LinkedIn, YouTube's ad specialist here at Main Street ROI. I have 12 years of marketing experience across B2B and B2C sectors. I founded and operated a successful marketing agency for 8 years, specialized in designing and managing organic and paid social media campaigns, as well as YouTube ad campaigns and LinkedIn ad campaigns for small businesses and enterprise clients. And I'm gonna just throw this out there. I am recovering from a virus, so I do still have this lingering, annoying dry cough. I'll do my best not to cough. So why we're here, small business owners are overwhelmed and frustrated. You hear things like, we need more traffic, or SEO takes too long, or ads are just so expensive, or everyone says we need to be on TikTok. The problem with that is most of the advice focuses solely on the channels, like Meta versus Google, for instance, rather than the context of your specific business. So the reality in 2026 is that customer acquisition costs have surged by 40 to 60% since 2023, and that's due to competition and privacy mandates. So you can't afford to guess anymore on this. The big traffic myth is that you'll hear talked about sometimes is there's one best traffic source for every small business. Believing this myth leads directly to channel hopping, wasted budgets, and team frustration. Traffic is actually an investment, and traffic decisions must be made just like an investment decision, not a popularity contest, not fly-by-the-night advice. So the key takeaway is the right traffic channel depends entirely on your situation and your business, not what's trending on social media. We're now in the answer economy. B2B buyers and B2C consumers are now navigating with this answer economy, and it's mediated by AI agents, meaning traditional funnels are obsolete. The real growth framework is revenue equals traffic times conversion times customer value. So typically the traffic gets the most attention, but it's not always the biggest lever for your business. You have to think about, conversion and value. Conversion rates and customer lifetime value often matter more than pure traffic volume. So if your lifetime value of your customer and your customer acquisition cost ratio falls below 3 to 1, your acquisition is likely unprofitable, unless you have huge margins and you've got a really high offer, high value offer. Number 2, tracking tells the truth. Proper tracking removes guesswork, and that is a fact. Marketing is all about data and tracking to know what you should be doing next. And the core truth is more traffic doesn't fix a broken system, it just exposes it faster. So why small businesses choose the wrong channels? Businesses fail when they choose channels that don't align with how their customers actually buy. You have the intent gap. And what that means is, are your customers actively searching for a solution and they're high intent, meaning they more or less know about the problem, they more or less know about a solution, and they're actively searching for it? That's high intent. Or do they need to be educated first and they're low intent, meaning they may not even be problem aware, or maybe they are problem aware, but they have no idea the solution. The time gap. When you're looking at all these different traffic methods, SEO is a long-term play. That's organic search. It typically takes 4 to 12 months to show significant results. If you need leads by tomorrow, SEO is the wrong immediate choice. The slow engine, so SEO and organic social. So how it works is you're earning visibility through trust, relevance, and consistency. Instead of renting space on the internet like you are with ads, you're building your own digital real estate that attracts users naturally over time. And the timeline reality of this is a long-term play. It typically takes, as I mentioned, 4 to 12 months of consistent effort to see significant momentum and algorithm trust. But it does have a compounding advantage. So while the initial traffic climb and the climb is slow, the results do compound. Once you establish high rankings and an organic following on social media, your customer acquisition costs drop significantly because you aren't paying for every single click or view anymore. Not to mention, these methods of traffic are also supporting your paid efforts as well. So the verdict is SEO and organic social are the ultimate foundations for sustainable long-term profitability. They protect your business from the rising costs of paid advertising. But at the same time, all of this works congruently together. So here's the quick engine, and that is going to be Google and social ads. So basically with this, you're buying speed and control. So whether you're capturing people actively searching on Google ads or generating interest in a feed with social ads, you're bypassing the organic line and appear at the top instantly. So the big advantage to this is predictability and fast feedback, of course. You can launch a campaign today, get traffic by tomorrow, and immediately see what messaging converts the best. And this is essentially rented traffic, and this is the reality of it. So the moment you turn off your ad budget, the traffic drops to zero right away because you are renting attention, not owning it. And here's fair warning on budget burn. Approaching ads casually will drain your budget fast. Ad algorithms need a minimum volume of data. A lot of times that's 50 conversions in a month to exit the learning phase. And essentially all of these platforms, these paid platforms, have a learning phase, whether that's Google or whether it's social paid platforms like Meta. Typically we're going to say on average, okay, that's 30 days, but in reality, it leans more into what budget you have as well. The bigger budget, you're going to learn faster, you're going to exit the learning phase faster typically. But we more or less will say a month is the learning phase. If you underfund a campaign, target too broadly, or send expensive clicks to a confusing landing page, you're simply just paying a premium to lose visitors. You obviously don't want that. So the first channel, channel one, we'll start with is LinkedIn. And this is organic and community. So it's from pitch platform to perspective. The content strategy on LinkedIn requires educational content, thought leadership, and clear positioning. The targeting power is where LinkedIn really shines if you're B2B. This is excellent for professional targeting, decision maker precision, and high value deal nurturing. You can target people down to very precise roles at a company, industries, annual revenue. There's so many levers to pull there. So if you're B2B, LinkedIn ads is extremely, extremely powerful. And LinkedIn organic is extremely powerful, but I will put a caveat in here. Company pages do okay, but the real power and the one hack I could give you here that does work is the thought leadership. And that is using the CEO or a co-founder or founder, their personal LinkedIn account to actually post, because you're going to get more reach, typically get more engagement. And then your company page can then reshare that content as well. So that's typically how we like to structure it. So yeah, that's just a little tip there, is try to lean more into the personal LinkedIn of the thought leader in your company if you can. The key insight is your LinkedIn presence. If your LinkedIn presence is all pitch and no perspective, the traffic won't convert. You have to provide value first. And I see this over and over again. I get the ads myself, or you'll see the post yourself. It's just all promotion all the time. You need to offer value to your ideal customers first. You need to give them something, to expect something in return. And the customer life cycle is typically fairly long, especially for B2B. So SEO, channel 2 is SEO and GEO. I'll explain what GEO is here in a minute. Building discoverability in the AI era. So this requires clear services, localized pages, a crawlable website, and content that aligns with real search intent. So the year-over-year increase in 2026, we saw a 527% increase in AI search traffic. And that means you must optimize for GEO. GEO is essentially generative engine optimization, where you're optimizing for AI tools like ChatGPT and Google's AI overviews. So the goal here is to become the most usable and trustworthy input for humans and AI alike, because that's becoming important now. You have to be a trustworthy input for the AI so that it can then refer the humans to you. Channel 3, Google Ads, search and local services. So capturing high intent demand. Search ads require accurate conversion tracking and landing pages that match intent and realistic expectations. So essentially what this means is, if someone searches something, that ad copy needs to align with that keyword and that they just searched for, and then the ad copy then convinces them to click through to the landing page, and that landing page must be congruent as well and must match that user's intent. So if the landing page is a complete mismatch, or it's a mess and not organized correctly and set up right, you're just sending traffic to a landing page that's not going to convert and wasting your money. Average overall CTR, roughly around 6% for click-through rates in 2025 on search ads. You also have Google local service ads. This is specific for service businesses, local service businesses. These are Google local service ads that offer a pay-per-lead model that provide immediate high-intent visibility. The key insight on all of this with paid ads is ads don't fix confusion, they charge you for it. Think about that. Ads don't fix confusion, they charge you for it. So like I just mentioned, if everything is out of line, or if one thing is out of line in that flow when you're doing paid ads, whether it's the ad copy or the landing page, you're just paying for traffic that's meaningless. So if your landing page is poor, you're just paying for, to lose visitors essentially. Channel 4, social ads. So we're talking Meta, TikTok, even Pinterest if you're a large national e-com brand or something. And this is where you're creating awareness and generating demand. So clear audience definition. Social ads require clear audience definition, a highly compelling offer, and strong trust signals. And authentic content wins here. So what I mean by that is, you hear a lot about UGC, user-generated content. These are essentially not even polished videos that you run that are more authentic to promote your product or service. And authentic reviews are critical. If you have video reviews, that's gold all around for your marketing, no matter what channel we're talking about here, whether you put that on your website, use it in your ads. But if you can get video reviews, that is just absolute gold. And if you can't, even screenshots of customer reviews or a review in your ad will help you a lot here, just to give you more social proof. So feature real voices if you can, because that does drive trust. And then the full funnel strategy is to use social ads to build top of the funnel awareness and retarget visitors who have engaged with your brand. So retargeting, I'm sure most people know by now, but in case you don't, retargeting is essentially if someone visits your website, engages with your page, engages with the post or your ad, you can then hit them with another ad. Typically, you want to frame that ad to speak to that retargeted visitor, knowing that they are already aware of your brand. So you want to make sure you create the copy in such a way that it's catered to the retargeter. And so what we're not covering today on purpose, and what we have not covered, is specifically retargeting. And that is because it is not, it's a conversion multiplier, meaning if you're running a regular campaign, retargeting is going to help multiply your conversions by hitting the people who have already looked at your ad or looked at your brand. So it does boost conversions from existing visitors, but it's not a primary traffic source. Cold outreach is a sales tactic. So we're not covering cold outreach because that is direct selling. That's not a core traffic generation play. And then email marketing is also a value multiplier. You know, it nurtures, it increases customer value. So that's, you know, email, all of these things you should be doing. Well, cold outreach is debatable depending on what your service is or your product. Definitely retargeting and email marketing is very valuable to have more touch points with your customers. And like it says, nurtures and increases customer value. So all those are conversion and value multipliers. And the key distinction is marketing attracts demand, sales pursues demand. So how to allocate traffic without overcomplicating it. And this is a very basic rule here. Pick one primary channel and choose the channel that best matches your buyer intent and business model. One thing you can do here is, hopefully, if you do have Google Analytics set up or GA4, that is where you want to start, because that has the history of traffic coming to your site. It's an extremely valuable resource. It covers everything from organic social, paid social, organic search, Google Ads. You can see not only where the traffic's coming from, how it breaks down over time, but you can also see what traffic source is actually converting or which traffic source is bouncing. A lot of times, if you're running, you're not running the greatest campaign on paid social, you might see that traffic just bounces right away. Or if you're running a lot of display ads on Google, typically a lot of times that traffic just bounces right away. So those are just key things you can look at when you look at Google Analytics. If you have that set up, that is most definitely the place to start. If you do not have it set up, I'm not raining on your parade. I highly recommend you set it up, get it set up. And I'm also not telling you not to start because of that. So don't let that keep you held down. You can then instead look at only your customer and target audience psychographics, essentially. You can, who's my ideal customer? Who are my typical customers? Where do they normally come from based on what they've told me? Or if I've ran some campaigns in the past, did they work well? You can kind of put all this together and come up with your ideal customer and figure out what channel is going to be the most reliable and probably the best one to start with. But if you have that and Google Analytics, that's gold. And then you'll want to pick a secondary channel. Now, what I mean by this is it's adding a supporting channel that complements your primary. I'm not telling you to go out and put huge ad budget into Google Ads, for instance, and Meta Ads. What I'm saying here in this case is, say that you choose Google Ads. I would highly recommend you still put effort and some resources into organic SEO or your Google business profile, or social media, because it does complement your primary channel. And what that means is, if someone searches something, they run across your ad on Google, they go to your landing page, typically people aren't going to make a decision right then and there cold. They don't know who you are. They don't like, know, and trust you yet. Sometimes you're going to get conversions, sometimes you're not, but they may then go into research mode. Okay, great, this looks great, but who is this company? What about them? So they may search Facebook, or they may search Instagram or LinkedIn, or they may just do a simple Google search for your brand name. And that's where it's extremely important to try to at least be ranking for your brand name, so that when they search organically on Google, you come up first, or your Google business listing comes up first. So they're going to look to those things to look for social proof. Are they active on social media? That tells them that you care about your business, that you're posting on social media. Do they have reviews? They're going to look into these things before they pull the trigger and actually commit to buying something or becoming a lead, usually. And this is extremely important. It's the most common thing I see throughout my years being in marketing. A business will start a campaign, they're really pumped up about it. They're like, yeah, we're going to do paid social. I really think this is going to be great. They put some budget into it, they run it for a month, and they say, you know what, I only got one conversion or one sale, and this sucks, and they shut it off, or they end the campaign. Huge mistake. Number one, no matter what platform you're on that's a paid platform, if that's Google Ads, or if it's Meta Ads, or if it's LinkedIn Ads, no matter what, you have a learning phase. And that learning phase is where the algorithm of that platform is it's looking at your targeting that you've plugged in when you started that campaign, but it's also looking at the results, and it's compiling data. So, hey, this person clicked on this person didn't. Who is this person? What's their general makeup? And it's going to start helping identify who the ideal customer is along with your targeting. And normally you're going to, we'll say 30 days. I mentioned this before. That's the learning phase. However, it's really dictated by budget. So someone who comes at, say, Google Ads or paid social with a $1,000 budget, versus someone that comes at one of those same channels with a $2,500 monthly budget, the person with a $2,500 monthly budget is obviously going to get the data in quicker and sooner, 9 times out of 10. So they're going to be able to optimize their campaign, exit the learning phase, and optimize their campaign sooner. So that does come into play. And that's not saying you have to have some massive budget to start. You can definitely start with the $1,000 a month budget. Just be aware that it may take longer than 30 days. It could possibly, bleed into month 2. And, not only do you have to exit the learning phase, once you get out of the learning phase, you have to then optimize the campaign yourself. You have to look, sure, the algorithm optimized for you, but you're going to see some glaring things, like maybe you were running a split test with 2 different ads and 2 different ad copies. One of them didn't perform. You'll want to pause that one, let the winner run, or possibly double down on the winner and create another ad and split test again, which I highly recommend to continually split test when you're running ads. So those are just things that, it's going to take a full quarter to really identify if that's a good channel for you. And I highly recommend giving it the full time, rather than quitting right before the finish line, because you may have just won big and not even know it, and, stop yourself short. So most early stage teams, they can only execute, or businesses can only execute 1 or 2 channels with high quality at one time. So, attempting more leads, and it leads to brand dilution and content fatigue. So what that means is, why I say pick a primary channel and then a secondary channel to back it up, is if you instead just decide, I'm going to go all in on Meta, all in on Google Ads, all in on organic social, all in on organic SEO, you're going to dilute yourself really quickly unless you have a large team, or you have a massive budget, and you can get contractors or marketing agencies to help you. It's really going to dilute you. Not only is it going to drain your time and your resources and money, but it's not going to be as effective. Because if you can imagine, if you've got, say, a $1,000 budget, if you split that 500 to Meta, 500 to Google, and then you also have to put all your time into organic social content and organic content on your website, you're diluting everything altogether. So it's going to take a lot longer, and you may never realize results that way. So identify the best channel for your business, pick that channel, pick a secondary channel that you think will support that well, based on the customer journey, and run with that. So turning insight into action, your next best step. So number 1, traffic audit. And I mentioned this a while ago. Review where your current traffic is coming from and if it's actually converting. And that starts with Google Analytics is the gold standard. If you don't have it set up yet, don't let that slow you down or stop you. Don't think, well, I better get this set up and then I have to wait. Well, if you wait, you're not getting enough traffic in to see what's working. So I say, go ahead and just get it set up if you don't have it set up already, and then pick your traffic source based on what you know about your own customers and the research that you've done. If you do have Google Analytics, perfect. Use that in addition to the psychographics that you come up with for the ideal customer. Combine those two and say, okay, this is my top traffic source most likely. This would be my best supporting source as second. And then just prioritize that primary channel based on the economics and the buyer intent. If you if you have issues or don't have the time to do this and put this all together, we're definitely here to help. You can, schedule a free strategy call with us. We can sit down with you, help you map this out specifically for your business. Because I'm gonna say again, there is no one size fits all. A purely SEO agency may tell everyone that they need SEO. A pure ad agency may say the same thing. We happen to provide all those services, and we know that certain channels work for some businesses and certain channels may not work for others. So it's really identifying you and customizing the growth plan to your specific business. So the closing thought here is the goal is not more traffic. The goal is the right traffic at the right time for your business. And I'll turn it back over to you, Riley.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Ryan. All right, so I know we covered a lot of content in just the first half hour. So again, like Ryan mentioned, if you'd like some clarity with your marketing, whether you're currently investing or not, we're happy to help you do that for free on a growth planning strategy session. So if that sounds good to you and you'd find that helpful, please just type growth plan in the chat. And what I'll do after the webinar is I'll follow up with you, and we'll schedule a call to go ahead and figure out what the plan is for you and your business. So in addition to that, if anyone has any questions, we will take questions at this time. So just please put any questions you have in the chat. And actually, I had a quick thought. So earlier, Ryan mentioned tracking and the importance of tracking, because we can't obviously improve what we don't measure. In addition to Google Analytics 4, I would also recommend Microsoft Clarity, which is also a free tool. Clarity is nice because it'll show you some behavioral data. So whereas Google Analytics will show you kind of the numbers and the sessions and conversions and events and clicks and all that stuff, Clarity will actually show you session recordings of people on your website. So you can actually view a video of when someone visited your site, what they clicked on, where they navigated, stuff that they clicked on that maybe they thought was a button, but it's not clickable. So that would be, an indicator that we would either want to remove that or make it clickable. Heat maps. So there's just a lot of good resources that Clarity will provide as well.
That's a good point, Riley. Yeah, and again, Google Analytics is free as well. I forgot to mention that, and in case people didn't know that. So yeah, those are two amazing tools. I'm glad you brought that up, that you can use in combination together to really get insights as to what's happening.
Yeah, also just another quick note on GA4, Google Analytics 4. The default setting is to only store 2 months worth of data for your website. So when you set that up, obviously it's a free resource. Google doesn't want to store more data than it has to. So the default is just 2 months. You can change that to 14 months by going into your settings. So if you do set that up, just make sure to change that setting. All right, Ryan, we got a question from Karen. What about other social media channels like YouTube or Pinterest? Is there a case where these make more sense than something like LinkedIn or Meta?
Yeah, most definitely. And I don't talk a lot about YouTube. Definitely can work for local businesses and of course national brands. I love YouTube as a channel, both organically and paid. I used to specialize in paid YouTube ads specifically, and that can reach people locally. The only caveat with YouTube ads is because it's Google and it's a video, they're a little more sensitive with the content of the ads. So for instance, things that you would not think would be controversial, like someone needs help with something health-based or something like that, or investing. It takes a lot to get through those filters. But if it's just a product or a service that really has no controversy to it all, it doesn't revolve around a health claim or anything like that, YouTube ads is a great platform to run with. As far as organically with YouTube, if you're a local business, it's nice and it is a place to, if you can get people to subscribe to your channel. Just keep in mind that YouTube is more of a worldwide reach versus like Facebook and Metas their algorithms tend to lean towards more local and showing people things locally. So you'll get more of the customers if you're a local business that you want. But YouTube is great as far as demonstrating your expertise, putting videos on there, having your channel set up correctly, and then funneling people to that YouTube channel to subscribe to you. Like if you're a real estate agent, for instance, it's a great thing to do, or broker. Then as far as Pinterest goes, absolutely love Pinterest. Organically, Pinterest is a gold mine. It's one of the few organic channels where you can get a lot of reach and impressions organically without having to pay. It's very image based. You don't need to put a ton of copy. I highly recommend it as well, but the caveat again is if you're a local business, it may not make as much sense because it is a worldwide audience. There's really no way to filter it down locally. So every time you make a post on or a pin on Pinterest, it's not just going to be able to show to certain people in your area. But if you do sell a product or service that's national, 100% Pinterest is amazing, especially if it's more of a visual product or service. I highly recommend it, and Pinterest ads can work great too. So yeah, I like both those channels.
All right, and I'm not seeing any more questions. So if you do think of a question, you can just reply to my email tomorrow. And just to reiterate, tomorrow morning you'll get an email with a link to this webinar recording, and in there I'll have a link to the slide deck, and then also lastly a resource. Ryan, do you want to touch base a little bit on that resource that you put together for attendees?
Yeah, basically it's just a one-page traffic matrix resource, and what that means is it's just sort of a cheat sheet to help you step-by-step identify what the best channel to start with might be, or where to put more of your time and resources. It just kind of is sort of a step-by-step cheat sheet that you can check off and go through, and it'll help you, organize those thoughts and that process and help you arrive to the conclusion maybe a little more efficiently. So.
Sweet. All right. Well, with that, I think we can go ahead and close. Thanks everyone for attending, and thanks Ryan for an awesome presentation.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you, everybody.
All right, thanks everyone. Have a good day.